Chapter 1: The Mysterious Link Between Twin Flames and Family Karma. Have you ever wondered why your twin flame journey feels so heavy? Almost as if you are carrying burdens that don't even belong to you? Why does meeting this person not only awaken love, but also awaken deep wounds you thought were buried? Or worse, wounds you didn't even know existed? What if I told you that the connection between you and your twin flame goes beyond just romance, beyond even your own personal soul lessons, and reaches into something much deeper? The karmic imprints of your family line? This is what many spiritual teachers call ancestral karma. And in this chapter we're going to uncover how it shows up in twin flame connections, why it's so intense, and what it truly means for your healing journey. The invisible threads of family karma. When we are born, we don't just inherit eye color, hair texture, or genetic health from our ancestors. We also inherit energetic imprints, patterns of trauma, unresolved pain, and even unspoken secrets that linger in the family system. Think about it. Have you noticed how certain issues seem to run through generations? A grandmother abandoned by her husband, a mother who repeats the cycle by choosing emotionally unavailable partners, a daughter who feels deep abandonment issues even if she never personally experienced it. This is not coincidence. These patterns are like invisible threads, woven into the fabric of our soul's experience on Earth. They are passed down until someone finally says, "It ends with me." Why twin flames trigger ancestral karma? Now here's where the twin flame connection becomes powerful and complicated. Your twin flame doesn't just mirror your personal wounds. They mirror the collective wounds of your lineage. Imagine this. You meet your twin flame and suddenly you feel a raw sense of rejection. You might say, "But they haven't even rejected me yet. Why am I feeling this so strongly?" The truth is, you are not just reacting to them. You are re-experiencing the echoes of your ancestors' pain. Your soul has chosen this connection not only to grow, but also to break chains that have existed for decades, sometimes centuries. Is it any wonder why twin flame relationships feel so intense? You are not only carrying your own healing, you are carrying the unfinished business of your family line. A story to illustrate. Let me give you an example. A woman named Alara, not her real name, shared her twin flame journey with me. Every time her twin flame pulled away, she would spiral into fear. Fear of being abandoned, fear of being worthless, fear of being forgotten. First, she thought it was just her own insecurity. But during inner healing work, she discovered something shocking. Her grandmother had been abandoned during wartime, left to raise children alone. Her mother, too, experienced a marriage where the husband was absent, emotionally and physically. And here Alara was in a modern time with a loving connection that still activated the same fear of abandonment. It wasn't just hers. It was the ancestral wound of abandonment flowing through her. Her twin flame was the mirror, reflecting that hidden lineage of pain so she could finally see it and finally heal it. The silent burdens we carry. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever felt emotions that seem too heavy for the situation at hand? Have you ever reacted to your twin flame in a way that felt exaggerated, as if the pain was much larger than the actual event? Have you ever sensed that you're living out a story that started long before you were born? If you answered yes, then you may be carrying ancestral karma. Can look like repeating toxic relationship patterns, sabotaging love because of hidden guilt, feeling unworthy of happiness, even without clear reason. These are not coincidences. They are signals that your soul is working to transmute something bigger than just you. The spiritual assignment of twin flames. This is why many spiritual teachers say that twin flames are not just lovers, they are catalysts for soul missions. And one of the greatest missions? To break the cycles of pain that your family could not. When you heal a pattern in yourself, you are not only setting yourself free, you are setting free your mother, your grandmother, and even the future generations that would have carried that same wound. This is why it feels so overwhelming. You are not just one soul in this journey. You are the chosen healer of a lineage. Doesn't that change how you see your struggles? The weight and the gift. Yes, ancestral karma is heavy. It can feel unfair. You might ask, why do I have to carry all of this? Why me? But perhaps the better question is, why not me? Because you are strong enough. Because your soul chose this path. Because the love between you and your twin flame is not meant to be ordinary. It is meant to ignite extraordinary healing. Every trigger, every separation, every tear you've shed might just be part of a bigger plan. To cleanse not only your own soul, but the karmic imprints that chained your ancestors. Reflection exercise. I invite you to pause and reflect. What patterns do you see repeating in your family? Do those same themes show up in your twin flame dynamic? Could it be that your connection is not just about you and them, but about generations waiting for healing? Sit with these questions. Journal about them. You might be surprised at what surfaces. Closing message of Chapter 1. So, as we close this first chapter, remember, your twin flame journey is not just about love, passion, or reunion. It is also about liberation. The liberation of your soul, and the liberation of those who came before you. When you feel the intensity, the heaviness, the overwhelming emotions, don't see it as punishment. See it as a sacred invitation. You are not just healing for yourself. You are healing for your ancestors. You are rewriting the story of your family line. And maybe, just maybe, that is why your soul called your twin flame into your life. Chapter 2: The Mirror Effect. How twin flames reveal ancestral patterns. When people first hear about twin flames, they imagine a love story like no other. Two souls destined to unite, a romance written in the stars. And yes, there is beauty, passion, and undeniable connection. But if you've been on this journey, you already know it's not just about love. It's about transformation. And transformation only happens when something hidden is brought into the light. That's exactly what your twin flame does. They hold up a mirror. But not just to your personal wounds. They often reflect the ancestral patterns you've inherited, the stories your family never finished telling, and the cycles your lineage has left unresolved. The mirror is not always gentle. When you look into an ordinary mirror, you expect to see your face, maybe a small flaw or two. But when you look into the mirror of your twin flame, it can feel like looking into the depths of your entire bloodline. A fear of abandonment that isn't logical. An inability to trust even when you want to. A pull toward destructive patterns you swore you'd never repeat. Why does this happen? Because the soul contract between you and your twin flame was designed to bring to the surface what's been buried for generations. It's not cruelty. It's clarity. Ancestral patterns hidden in the subconscious. Let's imagine a simple example. Liam, a man in his early 30s, grew up believing he was confident and secure. He had a good job, a stable life. But when he met his twin flame, something shifted. Whenever she didn't respond quickly to his messages, he felt a panic rising inside, irrational, intense, overwhelming. Through reflection, he realized this was more than just insecurity. It was the echo of his father, who had been abandoned by his own parents as a child. Liam never knew the full story, but his cells carried the memory. His twin flame simply activated that wound so it could be seen, acknowledged, and finally healed. Do you see how deep this goes? Sometimes the pain you feel isn't even yours. It's your ancestors woven into your DNA and energy field. Why twin flames trigger so intensely? Now you may ask, why does it have to be my twin flame who triggers all this? Why not a friend or a therapist or even just time? Here's the reason. Twin flames are not just companions, they are soul mirrors. They carry a frequency so aligned with yours that they naturally illuminate your shadows. It's like turning on a spotlight in a dark room. Friends might comfort you. Therapists might guide you. But your twin flame? They provoke you in ways no one else can. They awaken the rawest parts of you. Not to break you, but to break the chains of karma you've carried. And yes, it hurts. But pain is often the doorway to liberation. Rhetorical questions to consider. Think about your own journey. Have you noticed how arguments with your twin flame feel bigger than they should be? Do they trigger fears or reactions that remind you of childhood experiences or even family dynamics? Could it be that their role is not to wound you, but to expose the wounds you inherited? If so, then your connection is not random, it's purposeful. The cycle of repetition. Psychologists talk about something called repetition compulsion, the tendency to unconsciously repeat patterns until they are healed. Spiritual traditions call it karma. In families, these cycles often show up as generations of poverty despite hard work, repeated patterns of abandonment or betrayal in love, unspoken traumas like war, abuse, or loss that echo down the line. Your twin flame is like the final chapter of that repetition. They bring everything to the surface at once, forcing you to choose. Will you repeat the pattern, or will you break it? A deeper example. Consider Anna, whose family history was filled with silence. Her grandfather never spoke about the war. Her mother never spoke about her father's betrayal. Secrets piled up, generation after generation. When Anna met her twin flame, he constantly pushed her buttons by withdrawing and refusing to communicate. At first she thought, he's just emotionally unavailable. But over time she realized, his silence was reflecting the ancestral silence of her lineage. By facing it, by choosing to express herself, by refusing to continue the cycle of secrets and suppression, Anna wasn't just healing her relationship. She was healing the unspoken wounds of her family, the pain of the mirror. It's important to acknowledge something. Looking into this mirror is not easy. Sometimes you'll want to run. Sometimes you'll blame your twin flame thinking, if only they stopped triggering me, I could feel peace. But the truth is, they are not creating the wound, they are revealing it. The mirror is painful, yes, but it is also sacred. Because without seeing the wound, you can never heal it. The gift of awareness. Here's the beauty. Once you see the pattern, you gain the power to end it. If your lineage carried abandonment, you can choose to stand firm and not abandon yourself. If your lineage carried betrayal, you can choose honesty, integrity, and loyalty. If your lineage carried silence, you can choose to speak and be heard. Your twin flame may not consciously realize it, but by triggering you, they are handing you the key to freedom. The mirror is not a curse, it's a doorway. Practical reflection. Here's an exercise you can try. Write down the biggest triggers your twin flame brings up in you. Next to each, ask, where have I seen this before in my family? Notice the patterns. Do they repeat across generations? Do they echo in your parents, grandparents, or siblings? Now ask, what new choice can I make to break this cycle? This is how you turn the mirror into medicine. Closing thoughts for Chapter 2. So, what is the mirror of the twin flame? It is not just the reflection of your face, your flaws, or even your fears. It is the reflection of your lineage, your bloodline, the unresolved karma that waits for someone brave enough to face it. That someone is you. It may feel overwhelming. It may feel unfair. But remember, your soul chose this. You and your twin flame agreed to this before you came into this life. Not as punishment, but as liberation. Because when you look into that mirror and finally recognize the ancestral patterns, you hold the power to say, this cycle ends with me. And that is the beginning of true healing. Chapter 3, Breaking the Chains. How twin flames help heal. Ancestral karma. Up to now, we've explored what ancestral karma is and how your twin flame acts as a mirror, revealing family wounds you may not even know existed. But this raises the most important question. How do you actually break free from those cycles? Because seeing the patterns is only the beginning. True transformation happens when you take conscious action to end them once and for all. And this is where your twin flame connection becomes not just a challenge, but a profound opportunity for liberation. The weight of generations. Let's pause and acknowledge the truth. Ancestral karma is heavy. Imagine carrying a backpack filled not only with your own fears and mistakes, but also with the burdens of your parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents. That's what these patterns feel like. But here's the shift. Your soul didn't choose this weight to punish you. It chose it because you are strong enough to put the backpack down. To say, this ends with me. Your twin flame, by triggering those wounds, is like the spark that makes you finally notice how heavy that backpack has become. Without them, maybe you would have carried it forever. Step 1. Awareness without blame. The first step in breaking ancestral cycles is awareness. But awareness without blame. You see, it's easy to point fingers at your family. My father abandoned me. My mother was emotionally cold. My grandmother never supported me. But if you stop at blame, you stay stuck in the cycle. Healing begins when you recognize that they, too, were repeating patterns they inherited. They weren't villains. They were wounded souls who never had the tools to break free. So ask yourself, can I see my ancestors not as enemies, but as teachers? Because once you shift perspective, compassion opens the door to healing. Step 2. Recognize the pattern in your twin flame dynamic. The second step is to see clearly how these ancestral imprints show up in your twin flame relationship. Do you feel abandoned whenever they pull away? That might be the echo of generations of abandonment. Do you feel suffocated whenever they get too close? That might mirror a lineage of enmeshment or control. Do you constantly crave validation? That might reflect generations who never felt seen or valued. Notice how the twin flame connection doesn't create these patterns. It magnifies them so you can't ignore them anymore. That magnification is painful, but it is also the invitation to heal. A story of transformation. Let me share a story. Sophia grew up in a family where women were taught to stay silent. Her mother endured mistreatment quietly. Her grandmother endured betrayal quietly. Sophia promised herself she would be different. But when she met her twin flame, every argument ended the same way. With her swallowing her truth, avoiding conflict, and staying silent. She hated herself for it. One day, after yet another painful silence, she realized, this is not just me. This is my lineage speaking through me. The next time conflict arose, she chose differently. She spoke her truth, trembling but firm. Her twin flame didn't take it well at first, but Sophia felt something shift inside. She had broken the silence. She had chosen a new path. In that moment, she didn't just heal herself. She healed her mother, her grandmother, and every woman before her who had been silenced. Step 3. Conscious choice. Here is the heart of breaking ancestral karma. Conscious choice. Every time you are triggered, you stand at a crossroads. Will you repeat the cycle? Or will you choose differently? If the cycle is abandonment, choose presence. Stay with yourself. If the cycle is betrayal, choose honesty. Speak the truth. If the cycle is silence, choose voice. Express yourself. These choices may feel small, but spiritually they are revolutionary. Because the moment you act differently, you rewrite the energy of your lineage. Step 4. Ritual and acknowledgement. In many traditions, healing ancestral karma involves ritual, acknowledging those who came before you and offering them release. This doesn't need to be complicated. You can light a candle and say, I honor the pain you carried and I choose to release it now. Write a letter to your ancestors, expressing forgiveness and gratitude. Meditate on your lineage, sending love and healing back through the generations. Why does this matter? Because what is acknowledged can finally be released. What is honored no longer needs to repeat. Step 5. Integration with your twin flame journey. Here's the beauty. Your twin flame doesn't have to cooperate for you to heal. Even if you're in separation, even if they trigger you from afar, you can still do the work. Every trigger is an opportunity. Every wave of pain is a message. Every silence is a mirror. Your job is not to control them. Your job is to use the mirror they hold up to transform yourself, and by extension, your entire lineage. The ripple effect. Have you ever thrown a stone into a pond and watched the ripples spread outward? That's what happens when you break ancestral cycles. When you choose differently, the healing ripples backward to your ancestors who are freed from the weight they carried, sideways to your family now who begin to feel the shift in energy, forward to your children and future generations who no longer have to carry what you've released. And all of it began with your twin flame triggering a wound you thought was unbearable. Do you see how profound this is? Rhetorical reflection. So I ask you, could it be that the very pain you resent in your twin flame connection is actually the medicine your family line has been waiting for? Could it be that you were chosen for this role because you are strong enough, aware enough, and brave enough to break the cycle? Could it be that union with your twin flame isn't just about romance but about soul liberation for you, for them, and for everyone connected to your lineage? Closing message of Chapter 3. Breaking ancestral karma is not easy. It requires courage, patience, and often heartbreak. But it is sacred work. Every time you choose differently, you are planting seeds of freedom. Every time you honor your ancestors while refusing to repeat their pain, you are becoming the liberator of your lineage. And that's why your twin flame journey is so much bigger than love. It's about transformation, healing, and liberation that extends far beyond you. So the next time you feel triggered, remember, This is not punishment. This is opportunity. This is the moment you can say, the chain ends here. And when you do, you don't just change your life. You change the lives of those who came before you, and those who will come after you. That is the true power of twin flames and ancestral karma. Chapter 4: Practical Pathways. Tools to heal ancestral karma in the twin flame journey. By now, we've uncovered the invisible weight of ancestral karma, and we've seen how your twin flame acts as a mirror to those unresolved wounds. We've even looked at how conscious choices can begin to break the cycle. But let's be honest. Knowing what to do and actually knowing how to do it are two very different things. Awareness is powerful, but without tools, awareness can quickly turn into overwhelm. So in this chapter, let's go deeper into the practical steps, spiritual practices, and inner tools that can help you not only survive, but thrive as you work through ancestral karma with your twin flame connection. The importance of sacred space. Healing ancestral karma is not a casual task. It requires presence. It requires stillness. And it requires a space where your soul feels safe. This could be a corner of your room where you light a candle each evening. It could be a walk in nature where you connect with the earth and the roots beneath your feet. It could be a meditation practice where you breathe, slow down, and open your heart. Why does this matter? Because the energy of your ancestors often lives in the shadows, hidden, unspoken, denied. By creating sacred space, you invite those shadows into the light. You say, it's safe now. It's safe to release. It's safe to heal. Tool 1. Journaling the family story. One of the simplest yet most powerful tools is journaling. Not just about your day-to-day feelings, but about the story of your family. Ask yourself, what are the recurring themes in my lineage? Where do I see patterns of abandonment, betrayal, silence, poverty, illness, or conflict? How do these themes show up in my relationship with my twin flame? For example, if you write, my grandfather left my grandmother, and you also write, my twin flame often disappears, you've just found a karmic echo. If you write, my mother never spoke her truth, and you also write, I struggle to express myself to my twin flame, you've uncovered a pattern. The act of writing is not just intellectual, it's energetic, pulls the hidden into the seen, and what is seen can finally be transformed. Tool 2. Ancestral meditation and visualization. Here's a practice you can try. Close your eyes and imagine yourself standing in a long line of ancestors. Behind you are your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents stretching back generations. Visualize the patterns they carried, maybe chains of abandonment, silence, or struggle. Now see yourself holding a torch of light. Step forward and say, it ends with me. I honor your journey, I honor your pain, but I release it now. Imagine the chains breaking. Imagine the ancestors smiling. Imagine freedom flowing down the line to future generations. This kind of meditation may sound symbolic, but energy responds to intention. When you set the intention to release, healing begins to ripple. Tool 3. Forgiveness rituals. Forgiveness is not about saying what happened was okay. It's about saying, I refuse to carry the poison of resentment any longer. You can try this ritual. Write down the names of family members or ancestors connected to the pattern. Write down the pain they carried and the pain they passed on. Light a candle and say, I forgive you, I release you, I set both of us free. Burn the paper safely, letting the smoke carry the energy away. And here's the key. You don't need to know every ancestor's name or story. Forgiveness can be collective. To all who came before me and carried this wound, I honor you and I set you free. Tool 4. Embodiment. Practices. Sometimes healing doesn't happen in the mind, it happens in the body. Ancestral trauma often lives in our cells, in our nervous system, in the way we breathe or hold ourselves. Try shaking therapy. Literally shaking your body to release stuck energy. Try breath work. Deep rhythmic breathing to move emotions that words cannot reach. Try dance. Moving freely to music, letting your body express what your ancestors could not. Remember, your body is the living vessel of your lineage. By freeing your body, you free your ancestors too. Tool 5. Ancestral offerings. Many cultures around the world honor ancestors with offerings, food, flowers, incense, prayers. These rituals are not superstition. They are acts of remembrance and release. You could place a photo of your grandparents on an altar with a flower. Offer gratitude for their sacrifices, even if they caused pain. Speak words of love. Thank you for bringing me here. I release the pain, but I keep the love. These simple acts build a bridge between you and your lineage. And through that bridge, healing flows, integrating with the twin flame path. Now you may be wondering, what does this have to do with my twin flame? How does this help my connection? Here's the truth. The more you release ancestral karma, the less heavy the mirror becomes. Instead of reacting with panic or fear, you begin to respond with clarity and strength. Instead of collapsing when your twin flame withdraws, you stand firm and hold yourself. Instead of silencing yourself, you speak your truth. Instead of repeating cycles, you consciously choose freedom. And as you shift, your connection shifts too. Because twin flame dynamics are mirrors. When you change the reflection within, the outer relationship begins to transform. A story of healing. Let me share another example. Daniel carried a family history of betrayal. His father cheated, his grandfather cheated, his uncles cheated. Daniel swore he would never be like them. But in his twin flame connection, he found himself sabotaging, lying about small things, withholding the truth. Through ancestral healing practices, journaling, forgiveness rituals, and conscious choice, Daniel faced the truth. The pattern was living inside him, even though he hated it. By confronting it, forgiving his ancestors, and committing to integrity, Daniel broke the cycle. Did his twin flame notice? Absolutely. She told him, "For the first time, I feel like I can trust you." The healing rippled outward, and it all began with ancestral work. Rhetorical reflection. So I ask you, what patterns are you ready to release? What choices can you make today that your ancestors could not? Could it be that your twin flame isn't here to complete you, but to help you complete the healing your family line has been waiting for? Closing message of Chapter 4. Healing ancestral karma is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about choosing differently day by day, moment by moment. Your twin flame journey is not just a personal love story. It's a collective healing story. You are carrying the torch for generations past and generations yet to come. So create sacred space. Journal the patterns. Forgive the wounds. Move your body. Honor your ancestors. And most of all, choose differently. Because every conscious act of healing is not just for you. It's for your entire lineage. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real reason your twin flame entered your life. Chapter 5. Liberation and Transformation. The rewards of healing ancestral karma. We've walked through the shadows. We've spoken about the weight of ancestral karma, the mirror of your twin flame, and the tools to begin the healing process. But now comes the question that every weary soul asks. What happens after the healing? What is on the other side of this pain? This chapter is about hope, about what unfolds when you finally release the cycles of your lineage, about the transformation that ripples not just through your life, but through your twin flame connection, your family, and even the generations yet to come. Because yes, the journey is difficult, but the rewards are beyond measure. The lightness after the storm. Imagine carrying a heavy stone in your backpack for decades. You don't even notice it anymore, it feels normal. But then one day you take it out. Suddenly you feel light, free, able to move, to run, to dance. That's what healing ancestral karma feels like. Where there was fear, there is now courage. Where there was silence, there is now voice. Where there was abandonment, there is now presence. And in your twin flame connection, you begin to notice something remarkable. The triggers lose their power. What once sent you spiraling now feels manageable. What once broke you now makes you stronger. The shift in your twin flame connection. Here's a truth many people miss. Your twin flame journey doesn't transform when the other person changes. Transforms when you change. When you heal the ancestral wounds inside you, your connection shifts in ways that feel almost magical. Instead of chasing them when they withdraw, you hold steady in your own energy. Instead of projecting your family's wounds onto them, you see them as they truly are. Instead of reacting from fear, you respond from love. And because twin flames are mirrors, the moment you shift, they feel it too. They may not say it immediately, but the energy between you becomes calmer, clearer, and more aligned. A story of renewal. Consider Maya, who carried generations of poverty in her family line. She constantly feared financial instability even though she had a decent job. In her twin flame connection, money became a recurring source of conflict. She worried, clung, and panicked every time finances came up. Through ancestral healing work, rituals, forgiveness, and conscious choice, Maya realized she was carrying not just her own fears, but the struggles of her parents and grandparents. When she began releasing that burden, something shifted. She started trusting abundance. She made decisions with clarity, not fear. Her twin flame noticed the change. The energy of lack that once dominated their relationship was replaced with a sense of possibility. Instead of arguing about money, they began dreaming together about building a future. That's the reward of healing. The very area of pain becomes the area of transformation. Healing ripples through the family, but the reward doesn't stop with you. Healing ancestral karma is like turning on a light in a dark room. Everyone in the room benefits. You may notice old family conflicts suddenly soften. Relationships with parents or siblings begin to feel less heavy. Children around you respond differently, they carry less of the burden because you've released it. I've heard countless stories of people doing ancestral healing, and suddenly their parents call them out of the blue, apologizing, or siblings reconciling after years of silence. It's as if your inner shift creates a doorway for others to step through. The legacy of freedom. And then there are the generations to come. Imagine a child being born into your family after you've done the healing. That child doesn't inherit the same chains. They inherit freedom. They inherit love. They inherit a clean slate. That is perhaps the greatest reward. Knowing that the pain ends with you. That your courage gave future generations a different destiny. Ask yourself, isn't that worth the struggle? Isn't that worth every tear, every trigger, every sleepless night? Spiritual gifts awaken. When ancestral karma is released, something else often happens. Spiritual gifts awaken. Why? Because the energy that was once trapped in pain is now free to flow. You may notice stronger intuition. You may feel more connected to your higher self, to spirit, to synchronicities. You may suddenly feel creative energy, art, music, ideas that flows through you effortlessly. It's as if your ancestors, once bound by their wounds, are now cheering you on, channeling their blessings through you. Rhetorical reflection. So let me ask you, what would it feel like to live without the weight of your lineage pressing on your shoulders? What would it feel like to love your twin flame without the shadows of the past interfering? What would it feel like to know that your healing today changes not only your life, but the lives of countless others connected to your family tree? That is the promise of this work. That is the reward. Union beyond romance. Here's a profound truth. Union with your twin flame isn't just about romance. It's about stepping into a higher vibration of love that serves not just the two of you, but the collective. When you heal ancestral karma, you and your twin flame stop being two wounded souls clashing and start being two liberated souls co-creating. Instead of cycles of separation, there is stability. Instead of battles of ego, there is harmony. Instead of pain, there is purpose. This is when the twin flame journey transcends personal longing and becomes a sacred mission. Together, you embody love that heals not only your lineage, but also the collective energy of humanity. A closing story. Let me end this chapter with one more story. A man named Julian carried the wound of abandonment for generations. His grandfather had been orphaned. His father had been emotionally absent. Julian, in his twin flame connection, always feared being left behind. He pushed, clung, begged. Through deep ancestral healing, Julian faced the wound head-on. He forgave his father. He released his grandfather. He chose presence with himself. One day, his twin flame told him, "You feel different. Being with you feels safe now." And in that moment, Julian realized he had become the anchor. The cycle was broken. The reward wasn't just reunion, it was transformation. Closing message of Chapter 5. So what is on the other side of ancestral healing in the twin flame journey? Lightness where there was heaviness. Love where there was fear. Union where there was separation. freedom where there were chains. The rewards are not just for you. They are for your twin flame, your family, your ancestors, and the generations to come. And maybe this is the deeper truth of the twin flame path. It was never just about finding the one. It was about becoming the one who heals, the one who liberates, the one who transforms. And in doing so, you open the door to a love story that is bigger than romance. A love story that is cosmic, collective, eternal. Chapter 6, From Lineage to Humanity. How Twin Flame Ancestral Healing Serves Collective Evolution. By now, we've seen how twin flames trigger ancestral karma, how those wounds can be healed, and the personal rewards that come when cycles are broken. But here's a deeper truth, one that expands far beyond you, your twin flame, and even your family. The work you are doing is not just personal. It is collective. When you heal ancestral karma, you are not only liberating your lineage, you are contributing to the healing of humanity itself. Because the truth is, family lines are interconnected. And when enough individuals release the old wounds, the vibration of the entire planet begins to shift. This is the spiritual revolution hidden inside the twin flame journey. Humanity's shared wounds. Think about it for a moment. Across the world, families have carried similar traumas. Wars that tore families apart. Poverty that created generations of fear. Silence around abuse and betrayal. Cycles of control, oppression, or shame. Different cultures. Different languages, but the same patterns echo. What you carry in your bloodline is not just yours. It is a reflection of what humanity carries as a whole. And when you break a cycle in your lineage, you send ripples outward, contributing to the healing of that same wound on a larger scale. The twin flame connection as catalyst. Why twin flames? Why is this connection so closely tied to collective healing? Because twin flames carry intensified energy contracts. Their union is not just about personal romance. It is about accelerating consciousness. When you heal abandonment in your lineage, you also heal humanity's fear of being alone. When you release betrayal, you help heal humanity's struggle with trust. When you free yourself from silence, you add power to humanity's voice. Your twin flame is the spark that ignites this process. By triggering you, they help you address not only your family's karma, but also the karma of the human collective. A story of ripple effects. Let's take an example. Elena carried ancestral patterns of suppression. The women in her family had always been silenced. When she began healing, she started speaking her truth, not just in her relationship, but in her workplace, her community, her art. Others noticed. Friends told her, "When you speak, I feel like I can speak too." Younger women said, "Your courage gave me courage." Elena realized that her healing wasn't just for her. It gave others permission to heal too. This is how ripple effects spread. One person's liberation becomes contagious. And twin flames, because of the intensity of their journey, often lead the way. The collective mirror. Have you noticed how the dynamics of twin flames often mirror what is happening in the world? Separation and reunion reflect humanity's struggle with division and unity. Triggers reflect humanity's collective wounds. Fear, control, greed, silence. Healing reflects the possibility of collective transformation. It's no coincidence that more and more people are awakening to twin flame connections in our time. Humanity itself is at a turning point, and twin flames are part of that awakening. The role of pain in collective healing. Now let's be honest. This is not easy work. Sometimes it feels unfair, unbearable. You may ask, why me? Why do I have to carry this? But consider this. Humanity evolves not when everything is easy, but when individuals are brave enough to face pain. Your pain becomes the doorway through which collective healing enters. Every time you choose differently, you are writing a new story, not just for yourself but for the collective consciousness. Practical ways to connect with collective healing. So how can you consciously link your personal healing to humanity's evolution? Set intention in meditation. When you release an ancestral wound, say, "I release this not only for myself, but for all souls who carry this wound." Join healing communities. Engage with groups or circles focused on ancestral healing, energy work, or twin flame journeys. Shared healing amplifies energy. Service and contribution. Use your transformation to serve others, share your story, support those going through similar struggles, or contribute to causes aligned with the wounds you've healed. Because healing is not selfish. It's service. Rhetorical reflection. So ask yourself, what if the abandonment you healed in yourself made it easier for a stranger across the world to feel safe in love? What if the silence you broke gave another woman permission to speak her truth? What if your twin flame journey is not only about your reunion, but about humanity's reunion with love itself? The bigger picture of evolution. From a spiritual perspective, humanity is rising in vibration. We are moving from fear to love, from division to unity. But this shift doesn't happen in abstract, it happens through individuals like you. Every time you break an ancestral cycle, you anchor a new frequency on Earth. You plant seeds of freedom, compassion, and love. And when twin flames across the world do this work, the collective field changes. Humanity evolves. A closing story. Let me share one last story. Samuel carried ancestral wounds of violence. His family history was filled with conflict and aggression. In his twin flame relationship, arguments would escalate quickly, mirroring those same patterns. Through healing practices, Samuel chose differently. He paused instead of reacting. He breathed instead of shouting. He offered peace instead of war. His twin flame noticed, and their relationship shifted. But something else happened too. Samuel became a leader in his community, teaching conflict resolution to young men. The wound of violence became the gift of peace. His personal ancestral healing became collective service. Closing message of Chapter 6. So, what does this all mean? It means that your twin flame journey is not small. It is vast. It is sacred. It is part of humanity's awakening. When you heal ancestral karma, you are not just liberating your lineage. You are liberating humanity. You are contributing to a collective evolution where love replaces fear, truth replaces silence, and unity replaces division. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, remember, your pain has purpose. Your healing has ripple effects. Your twin flame journey is part of something so much bigger than you could ever imagine. And maybe that's the reason your soul chose this path. Chapter 7: Living the Integration, Balancing Twin Flame Healing with Daily Life. By now you may be asking yourself, this all sounds profound, but how do I live it every day? How do I carry the awareness of ancestral healing and the intensity of my twin flame journey while also working, paying bills, raising children, or just trying to get through life? This is a crucial question, because transformation is not meant to take you out of life. It is meant to bring new life into everything you do. Healing ancestral karma and walking the twin flame path doesn't mean you abandon your human responsibilities. It means you approach them with new depth, new presence, and new awareness. This chapter is about integration, about weaving the sacred into the ordinary, the spiritual into the practical, so that your daily life becomes the living ground of healing. The trap of spiritual escapism. First, let's talk about a danger many fall into: spiritual escapism. Some people, overwhelmed by the intensity of their twin flame journey, try to escape into constant spiritual practices, hours of meditation, endless card readings, obsessive research about union timelines. But here's the truth. Healing doesn't happen by escaping life. It happens by engaging life differently. You don't heal abandonment just in meditation. You heal it by showing up for yourself when your twin flame pulls away. You don't heal silence just by reading spiritual texts. You heal it by speaking your truth in everyday conversations. You don't heal lack by chanting affirmations. You heal it by making empowered choices with your money, your career, your health. So the invitation is not to leave life behind, but to bring healing into life itself. Morning rituals for grounding. One powerful way to integrate is through daily rituals. Not grand, not overwhelming, but consistent practices that root your awareness each day. Gratitude practice. Upon waking, name 3 things you're grateful for. This connects you with abundance instead of ancestral lack. Breath awareness. Spend 5 minutes breathing deeply, reminding your nervous system that it is safe now. Ancestral affirmation. Say, I honor the past, I live in the present, I create a new future. These small acts anchor the big healing work into your body and your day, bringing healing into relationships. Your twin flame journey will test your relationships, not only with them, but with family, friends, coworkers. Integration means practicing new choices everywhere. If your lineage carried silence, speak honestly with your friend instead of avoiding conflict. If your lineage carried abandonment, stay present with your child even when stressed. If your lineage carried betrayal, honor your word in daily tasks, no matter how small. These ordinary acts are actually extraordinary. They are how ancestral cycles truly break. Work as a spiritual practice. Let's talk about work. Many people separate spirituality from their career. But your workplace can be a temple too. If your ancestors carried patterns of exploitation, you can choose integrity and fairness in your work. If your lineage carried poverty, you can approach money with wisdom, not fear. If your family carried silence, you can speak your truth in meetings, honoring your voice. Even answering emails or attending a meeting can become an act of healing when done with awareness. A story of integration. Consider Naomi, who was deep in her twin flame journey while raising 2 children and working full-time. She often felt torn. How can I do this healing work when I barely have time to breathe? But one day she realized her daily life was the healing ground. Every time she chose patience with her kids, she broke her lineage's cycle of anger. Every time she budgeted wisely, she healed generations of scarcity. Every time she meditated for 5 minutes before work, she reset her nervous system. She didn't need to escape to a retreat center to heal. Her home was the retreat. Her life was the practice. Handling triggers in real time. Your twin flame will trigger you. That's inevitable. But integration means handling triggers in the moment, not just in theory. Here's a practice. Pause. When you feel the wave of anger, fear, or abandonment, stop. Breathe. Name it. Say, "This is the wound of my lineage speaking, not the truth of this moment." Choose differently. Respond with presence instead of panic, honesty instead of silence, love instead of fear. This is not easy, but each time you do it, you carve a new pathway in your brain, a new destiny in your lineage. Self-care is sacred duty. Let's be clear. Ancestral healing is exhausting. It stirs emotions, brings up pain, and challenges your entire nervous system. That's why self-care is not optional. It's sacred duty. Rest when your body asks. Nourish yourself with food that gives energy, not drains it. Allow joy, music, dance, laughter, because joy heals what pain cannot. Think of it this way: when you care for yourself, you are caring for your ancestors who never had that chance. You are telling them, it is safe now. We are allowed to rest. We are allowed to thrive. Community and support. No one heals alone. Integration means finding community, whether in spiritual groups, therapy, or supportive friendships. Your ancestors often carried wounds in silence. By seeking help, you break that silence. By sharing your story, you lighten the burden. And remember, even sharing your twin flame journey with someone who truly listens is part of integration. It grounds the mystical into the real. Rhetorical reflection. So ask yourself, how can I bring healing into the way I wake up, eat, work, and relate? What would it feel like if every ordinary moment became an act of breaking ancestral cycles? Could my life itself become the temple where my lineage heals? Closing message of Chapter 7. Integration is not about living in a monastery. It's about living consciously in the world. It's about folding laundry with love, answering emails with integrity, speaking honestly in conversations, and holding yourself with compassion when triggered. Your twin flame journey doesn't take you out of life. It brings you more deeply into it. Because every choice you make in daily life is an opportunity. Repeat the cycle or break it. And when you choose healing again and again, your life becomes proof that transformation is possible. You become the living bridge between your ancestors' pain and your descendants' freedom. So live it. Breathe it. Embody it. Let your daily life become the sacred ground where ancestral karma dissolves and love is born. That is integration. That is liberation. And that is the true power of the twin flame path. Chapter 8: Union and Separation. Carrying ancestral healing through the phases of the twin flame journey. One of the most painful, confusing, and yet essential aspects of the twin flame journey is the cycle of union and separation. Anyone who has walked this path knows The intensity. One moment you are in deep connection, feeling as if your souls are one. The next, you are torn apart, left wondering if the love was real or just a dream. But what if these cycles of coming together and pulling apart are not just about romance? What if they are also deeply tied to the ancestral healing you are carrying? In this chapter, we will explore how union and separation phases mirror the ancestral wounds you inherited, and how you can navigate both phases while staying committed to the higher mission of healing. Separation as a mirror of ancestral wounds. Let's begin with separation because this is often the most agonizing phase. When your twin flame distances themselves, doesn't it feel like abandonment? Doesn't it echo with an intensity that feels disproportionate to what is happening? That's because separation often activates the core ancestral wounds of your lineage. If your ancestors experienced abandonment, separation feels like reliving that loss. If your ancestors experienced betrayal, distance feels like being betrayed again. If your ancestors carried silence, separation feels like that same suffocating silence passed down. Separation is not just about losing your twin flame in that moment. It's about confronting the shadows that your family line never resolved. The purpose of separation. It may feel cruel, but separation has a sacred purpose. It creates space for you to see, to feel, and to heal what has been buried. Without separation, many would never stop to face their patterns. Without separation, ancestral wounds would remain hidden under the comfort of connection. Without separation, the mission of healing would be incomplete. Separation is the crucible where you learn to hold yourself, where you break the cycle of abandonment by staying present for your own soul. A story of healing through separation. Take the example of Alex. His twin flame left suddenly without explanation. The pain was unbearable, echoing the childhood wound of his father leaving the family. At first, Alex drowned in despair. But then he realized, this is my chance to end the cycle. My father left me, but I will not leave myself. During separation, Alex devoted himself to healing, therapy, ancestral rituals, journaling. By the time reunion came months later, Alex was no longer the same person. He had broken the chain of abandonment in his lineage, and the energy of their reunion was profoundly different. Union as a mirror of ancestral blessings. Now let's talk about union. Union is not simply a reward for suffering. It is an opportunity to experience the blessings that your ancestors could not. When you are in union with your twin flame, you are not just two people in love. You are embodying a frequency of harmony, intimacy, and unconditional connection that your lineage may never have known. If your ancestors lived in survival, union allows you to live in abundance of love. If your ancestors lived in silence, union allows you to speak and be heard. If your ancestors lived in betrayal, union allows you to experience loyalty and truth. Union is not the end of healing. It is the living expression of healing. The fragility of union. But let's be honest, union is fragile. Many think that once union arrives, the journey is over. But if ancestral wounds are not addressed, union can quickly crumble. Old patterns of control, fear, or silence can resurface. Pressure from family systems may reemerge. The weight of unresolved karma can still pull the connection apart. That's why integration is key. Union requires conscious effort to live differently than your ancestors lived. It is not a static state, it is a daily choice. Navigating the dance of union and separation. So how do you navigate these cycles without losing yourself or your mission? During separation, see it as sacred space, not punishment. Focus on your own healing, journal, meditate, seek therapy. Break the cycles of abandonment by showing up for yourself daily. During union, don't get complacent, stay conscious. Practice the new choices you've committed to, voice honesty, presence. Use union as a space to embody what your ancestors never could. In both phases, remember, it's not about clinging to one another. It's about rising together. Every cycle deepens healing, both for you and for your lineage. Rhetorical reflection. So I ask you, could it be that separation is not a curse but the very medicine your soul needs? Could it be that union is not just romance, but the manifestation of your lineage's liberation? Could it be that the cycles you dread are actually the spiral of evolution, pulling you higher each time? A collective perspective. When we zoom out, we see something bigger. The cycles of twin flame union and separation mirror the cycles of humanity itself. Humanity separates through war, conflict, division. Humanity unites through peace, compassion, love. Your personal journey is a microcosm of this collective dance. And by navigating your own cycles consciously, you contribute to humanity's larger healing. A closing story. Consider Lila and her twin flame. Their union was passionate but unstable, constantly falling into separation. Each time, Lila felt crushed, repeating her family's cycle of heartbreak. But slowly she began to see the pattern. Each separation gave her a chance to heal. Each reunion gave her a chance to practice the new choices. After years of this dance, Lila realized something profound. Union and separation were not enemies, they were partners in her growth. Together, they carried her lineage from pain into freedom. Closing message of Chapter 8. Union and separation are not random phases of the twin flame journey. They are sacred rhythms designed to trigger ancestral wounds and then allow space for healing, designed to offer glimpses of union, so you can embody a new reality. Separation teaches you to hold yourself. Union teaches you to hold love. Together they lead you toward wholeness, not just for you but for your ancestors, your descendants, and humanity itself. So the next time you find yourself in separation, breathe. Remember, it is not the end. It is the pause where ancestral healing deepens. And the next time you find yourself in union, cherish it. Remember, it is not just romance. It is the living proof that cycles can end, that love can win, that healing is possible. This is the dance. This is the mission. And this is the gift of carrying ancestral healing through the twin flame path. Chapter 9. The Power of Forgiveness. Releasing ancestors, embracing self, and opening the door to union. If there is one word that holds the key to breaking ancestral karma and moving closer to true union with your twin flame, it is this: forgiveness. Forgiveness is perhaps the most misunderstood spiritual practice. Many believe it means condoning harmful behavior, excusing betrayal, or pretending the pain never happened. But true forgiveness is not about denial. It is about release. It is about saying, I will not carry this wound any longer. I will not let the choices of the past, whether mine, my ancestors, or my twin flames, define my future. Forgiveness is freedom, and without it, healing remains incomplete. Forgiveness toward ancestors. Let's start with the foundation. Forgiving your ancestors. They may have abandoned, betrayed, silenced, or hurt you directly, or they may have passed down patterns of pain that still haunt you today. It is natural to feel anger, sadness, or resentment toward them. But here's the deeper truth. Most of them never had the tools you now have. They acted from their own wounds, their own limitations, their own unhealed karma. A father who abandoned may himself have been abandoned as a child. A grandmother who silenced herself may have lived in a culture where women had no voice. A lineage of betrayal may come from generations living in survival, unable to prioritize loyalty. Forgiving your ancestors does not mean saying it was okay. It means saying, I understand you carried pain. I release myself from continuing it. And I release you from my anger. Because when you hold resentment toward your ancestors, you keep their energy alive in your field. Forgiveness severs the tie, setting you both free. Forgiveness toward your twin flame. Then there is the forgiveness that feels the hardest. Forgiving your twin flame. They may have rejected you, hurt you, ghosted you, chosen another path, or triggered your deepest wounds. The pain can feel unbearable. But remember, their role in your life is not random. They are the mirror, the activator, the catalyst for your healing. When you forgive them, you are not excusing their behavior. You are acknowledging the sacred contract between your souls. You are saying, I see the role you played in awakening me. I release the anger so I can walk in freedom. Without forgiveness, separation becomes prison. With forgiveness, separation becomes initiation. Forgiveness toward yourself. And perhaps the most overlooked yet most vital, forgiving yourself. For the times you repeated the same cycles. For the moments you lost yourself in fear, obsession, or anger. For the mistakes you made while learning to love. Too often we become our own harshest judge. But how can you truly embrace union if You are still at war with yourself? Self-forgiveness means whispering to your soul, I did the best I could with what I knew, and now I choose differently. I set myself free. When you forgive yourself, you break the inner chain that keeps repeating the past. You open the door to becoming whole, and wholeness is the foundation of union. A story of forgiveness. Let me share a story. Daniel carried deep anger toward his father, who abandoned the family when Daniel was young. This anger made its way into his twin flame journey. Every time his twin flame pulled away, Daniel reacted with rage and fear. Through deep reflection, Daniel realized he was not just angry at his twin flame. He was still carrying his father's betrayal. Slowly, Daniel began a forgiveness practice, writing letters to his father he never sent, speaking aloud words of release, and choosing compassion over blame. One day he said aloud, Dad, I forgive you. I see your pain. I release you. I release myself. Something shifted. When his twin flame pulled away again, Daniel did not rage. He breathed, held himself, and stayed present. The cycle was broken. Forgiveness had opened a new path. The layers of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not a one-time act. It is a process, a practice, a choice repeated again and again. You may think you've forgiven, only for new pain to surface. That doesn't mean you've failed. It means you are going deeper. First, forgiveness may feel intellectual, saying the words but not feeling them. Then it becomes emotional, releasing tears, anger, grief. Finally, it becomes spiritual, a profound sense of peace, love, and freedom. Every layer matters. Every step brings liberation. Practical practices for forgiveness. Here are some ways to embody forgiveness in your daily life. Letter writing. Write to your ancestor, your twin flame, or yourself. Pour out the pain, then write, I forgive you. I release you. Burn or bury the letter as a symbol of release. Mirror work. Look into your own eyes in the mirror and say, I forgive you. I love you. I set you free. Meditation visualization. Imagine standing before your ancestors or your twin flame. Hand them a heavy stone, the weight of resentment. Watch them take it and walk away lighter. Breath release. With each exhale, imagine breathing out anger, blame, resentment. With each inhale, breathe in peace, compassion, and freedom. Ritual of gratitude. Forgiveness becomes easier when paired with gratitude. Say, thank you for what you taught me. Thank you for awakening me. I now release you with love. Rhetorical reflection. So I ask you, who in your lineage are you still holding hostage in your heart? What resentment toward your twin flame are you still clinging to? What guilt toward yourself do you still punish yourself with? And most importantly, what would your life feel like if you released it all? The connection between forgiveness and union. Here's the secret. Forgiveness is not just healing. It is preparation for union. Why? Because true union cannot exist where resentment lingers. Love cannot fully bloom in a soil poisoned by blame. When you forgive, you clear the space for love to thrive. You make your energy a safe place for union. You embody the wholeness that draws your twin flame back, not through need, but through resonance. Forgiveness doesn't guarantee immediate reunion, but it guarantees alignment. And alignment is the only foundation on which union can truly stand. A closing story. Sophia struggled for years with resentment toward her twin flame, who constantly pulled away. She also carried anger toward her ancestors, who passed down cycles of betrayal. But the heaviest burden was guilt toward herself for messing up the connection again and again. One night, exhausted from crying, she whispered, I forgive you all, and I forgive myself. It wasn't dramatic. No lightning bolt, no miracle. But slowly her energy shifted. She stopped chasing. She stopped punishing herself. She lived lighter. Months later, her twin flame returned, sensing the shift. But more importantly, Sophia no longer depended on that return. Forgiveness had already given her freedom. Union became a gift, not a necessity. Closing message of Chapter 9. Forgiveness is the bridge between pain and freedom, between separation and union, between the past and the future. Forgiving your ancestors releases you from their chains. Forgiving your twin flame frees you from bitterness. Forgiving yourself liberates your soul. And together, These acts of forgiveness create the fertile ground where union, true, lasting, sacred union, can take root. So ask yourself, who do I need to forgive today? And what freedom might be waiting on the other side? Because forgiveness is not just an act of kindness. It is an act of liberation. And it is the doorway to the union your soul has always longed for. Chapter 10, From Healing to Mission. Discovering your soul purpose through twin flame ancestral work. We've traveled through the shadows of ancestral karma. We've witnessed the pain of separation, the gift of union, and the power of forgiveness. But there comes a moment in every twin flame journey when the focus begins to shift. First, the journey feels entirely personal, about your wounds, your healing, your connection. But as healing deepens, something larger emerges, the awakening of your soul mission. Because the truth is, the twin flame path was never meant to stop at reunion. Its purpose has always been to awaken you to who you truly are, to activate your gifts, and to align you with your higher purpose on this earth. And ancestral healing plays a key role in this awakening. By breaking the chains of your lineage, you uncover the freedom and clarity needed to step into your mission. The link between healing and purpose. Let's pause and reflect. Why is it that so many people discover their soul purpose only after deep healing? Because when you are trapped in ancestral wounds, your energy is bound by survival. You live in reaction, not creation. You repeat patterns, rather than writing your own story. But once you release those chains, you reclaim energy. You reclaim freedom. You reclaim the voice your ancestors never had. If your lineage carried silence, your purpose may involve speaking, teaching, inspiring. If your lineage carried betrayal, your mission may involve building trust, guiding others toward integrity. If your lineage carried abandonment, your purpose may involve creating safe spaces, nurturing, healing. Your pain becomes your compass. Your wound becomes your gift. A story of awakening. Consider Marcus, who came from a family line marked by poverty and struggle. For years, he felt trapped in survival mode, working jobs he hated, unable to dream. His twin flame connection triggered his deepest fears of lack. Through ancestral healing, Marcus realized that his fear of scarcity was not truly his. It was his family's story, passed down through generations. As he released it, he discovered a new passion, teaching others about financial empowerment and abundance. What once was his deepest wound became his highest calling. His twin flame journey didn't just heal him. It awakened his mission. The twin flame mission. Twin flames are not just about love stories, they are about service. When two souls ignite one another, it's not only so they can live happily ever after, it's so they can embody a vibration of love, healing, and purpose that ripples outward to others. Your mission may not look like preaching or saving the world. It might be writing a book that inspires, creating art that heals, building a conscious business, guiding others in spiritual work, or simply embodying love and presence in your family and community. The form doesn't matter. The vibration does. How to recognize your soul mission. You might be wondering, but how do I know what my mission is? Here are some clues. Look at your wounds. The area you've struggled with most may be where your gift lies. Did you heal abandonment? You may help others find belonging. Did you heal silence? You may be called to speak. Notice what energizes you. What activities make you lose track of time? Where do you feel alive, passionate, on fire? Listen to synchronicities. Pay attention to repeating signs, nudges, opportunities that seem to align. The universe whispers your mission through synchronicity. Ask your soul. Sit in stillness, place your hand on your heart and ask, what am I here to do? How am I meant to serve? Listen to the answers that rise. The role of your twin flame in your mission. Your twin flame plays a unique role in activating your mission. Sometimes they support you directly. Other times they trigger you so intensely that you are pushed onto your path. Their presence may inspire you to create, to speak, to share. Their absence may force you to find yourself, to build independence, to discover your gifts. Their mirror may show you what you've been afraid to see about yourself. Your power, your truth, your calling. In this way, union and separation are both sacred tools for aligning you with purpose. A story of purpose emerging from pain. Let me share another story. Isabella carried the ancestral wound of silence. Her family avoided conflict, buried secrets, and never expressed emotions. In her twin flame connection, she felt suffocated by unspoken words. Through healing, Isabella began writing letters to herself, then essays, then poems. Eventually, she published a book on healing generational silence. Her words touched thousands. Her twin flame had triggered the pain, but also awakened the mission. Without the wound, she might never have found her voice. Practical steps toward living mission. Commit to healing first. Mission flows from wholeness. Keep tending to your inner work. Start small. You don't need to change the world overnight. Share your story with one friend, create one piece of art, take one step. Integrate daily life. Let your purpose shine in how you work, parent, love, and live. Trust the timing. Your mission unfolds step by step. Trust that each experience, even separation, is preparing you. Rhetorical reflection. So I ask you, could it be that your deepest wound is actually your greatest gift? Could it be that your twin flame came not only to love you, but to awaken you to your mission? Could it be that your soul purpose is not separate from your healing, but born out of it? The collective dimension of mission. When you live your mission, you are not just fulfilling personal destiny. You are contributing to the collective evolution of humanity. Every healed voice adds to the chorus of truth. Every act of service adds to the field of love. Every step of courage adds to humanity's awakening. Your mission, no matter how small it seems, is part of the grand tapestry of Earth's transformation. A closing story. Arun's family carried generations of oppression and silence. His twin flame awakened the pain, forcing him to face his anger and despair. Through years of healing, Arun discovered his mission, teaching meditation and mindfulness to communities carrying generational trauma. He often says, "My twin flame broke me open so I could remember why I came here." That's the essence of mission. Not escaping your wounds, but transforming them into service. Closing message of Chapter 10. The twin flame journey does not end with healing ancestral karma. That healing is only the doorway. Beyond it lies your true mission, the reason your soul incarnated in this lifetime. When you forgive your ancestors, you free your voice. When you forgive your twin flame, you free your heart. When you forgive yourself, you free your soul. And in that freedom, your purpose emerges. So remember, your twin flame journey is not just about reunion. It is about awakening. It is about mission. It is about becoming the vessel through which your lineage, your soul, and humanity itself evolve. Because your story is bigger than you think. And your purpose is greater than you can yet imagine.